There are growing concerns about First Amendment protections after Jimmy Kimmel's Late Show was pulled from the air over his comments about Charlie Kirk and President Trump. Reactions from lawmakers are mostly split among party lines. But now Republican Senator Ted Cruz is criticizing the head of the Federal Communications Commission, Brandon Carr, for his threats against ABC. Cruz likening Carr's rhetoric to that of a mob boss.
Look, I like Brandon Carr. He's a good guy. He's the chairman of the FCC. I work closely with him. But what he said there is dangerous as hell. He says, we can do this the easy way, or we can do this the hard way.
Yeah.
And I got to say, that's right out of Goodfellas. That's right out of a mafioso coming into a bar going, nice bar you have here. It'd be a shame if something happened to it.
We're also learning new details about that suspension of Jimmy Kimmel Live. Sources tell CNN that the show's crew will be paid through next week, but the future of the show remains in limbo. CNN's Elizabeth Wagmeister has more from Los Angeles.
Jimmy Kimmel, I hear from a source familiar with ongoing conversations, had a meeting on Thursday with top Disney executives at his lawyer's office in Century City, California. Jimmy was present, his attorney was present, and his manager was present, along with top Disney executives. But I hear that there was no resolution to the meeting, which means we have no indication of any path forward for Jimmy or his show at ABC. Now, I have also been talking to sources who say that Disney is very hopeful that Jimmy Kimmel Live could come back. Everybody at ABC loves Jimmy Kimmel and they love the show. But after threats from the FCC and after the show was pulled by different station groups that were refusing to air Jimmy Kimmel's show, I hear that Disney executives said that Jimmy Kimmel needs to take the temperature down, but he did not want to do that. He wanted to return with a monologue that I was told was coming in very hot, taking aim at MAGA, taking aim at Fox News. And that is when ultimately Bob Iger and Dana Walden made the decision to say, let's put the show on hiatus. Now, Hollywood has been rallying around Jimmy Kimmel. Everyone from comedians like Conan O'Brien, who hosts the Oscars on ABC. Here's what Conan had to say, quote, the suspension of Jimmy Kimmel and the promise to silence other late night hosts for criticizing the administration should disturb everyone on the right, left, and center. It's wrong, and anyone with a conscience knows it's wrong. The late night comedians on other networks, which are competing with Jimmy Kimmel, they also all took to the stage to support Kimmel. Take a look.
A lot of people are worried that we won't keep saying what we want to say or that we'll be censored. But I'm going to cover the president's trip to the UK just like I normally would. Well, guys, President Trump just wrapped up his 3-day trip to the UK, and he
looked incredibly handsome.
If ABC thinks that this is going to satisfy the regime, they are woefully naive. And clearly, they've never read the children's book, If You Give a Mouse a Kimmel.
From Comedy Central, it's the all-new government-approved Daily Show. With your patriotically obedient host, Jon Stewart.
Are the naysayers and the critics right? Is Donald Trump stifling free speech?
Of course not, John.
There have also been protests outside of Disney's offices, both in Los Angeles and in New York, with Hollywood unions like the Writers Guild of America and SAG-AFTRA backing Kimmel. Back to you.
Elizabeth Wagmeister reporting. Thank you. Joining me now to talk more about this controversy surrounding the Jimmy Kimmel Show and the escalating debate over free speech is Jim Rutenberg. He's a writer at large for the New York Times who has written extensively about media and politics. Jim, thank you so much for joining us.
Sure, thanks for having me.
And Jim, you pointed out in your article for the Times this week that President Trump vowed to, quote, immediately stop all government censorship and bring back free speech to America at his second inauguration. What should people make of Trump's claims now that critical media coverage of him is illegal?
Well, he clearly had when he was giving his inaugural address, he clearly had in mind moderation on social media, things that led to his own suspension from platforms like Facebook and Twitter. And so it does not apply apparently to analog media, broadcast media, newspapers, anything that does anything that he sees as cutting against his interests, agenda, or anything that's positive about him. That already have been clear through his lawsuits against the newspapers, including my own. But this move with Jimmy Kimmel and ABC, that was very different because it brought in to bear government power.
Now, earlier we heard Republican Senator Ted Cruz denouncing the FCC chairman for his threats to ABC. Do you think that that will open the door for more conservatives or Trump allies to take a stand for free speech, even for those who they don't agree with, which is the point of free speech?
Well, it could. I thought that was very interesting. Senator Cruz was making his own political calculation, and I think we'll see why. Maybe as his Senate race picks up, or we'll see some polling. I thought that was very interesting, whether it was a finger to the wind mood that he's picking up on something. But I want to say something else. It's also been conservative Republican principle for our entire lifetimes, or certainly since the Ronald Reagan years, that the FCC should not get involved in government, in content, in media content. Even the rights that the FCC has to poke its nose into content, it's always been the conservative position that it shouldn't even have that. So what Senator Cruz was saying would have never been surprising coming from a Republican, again, since Ronald Reagan. This is all very new for a Republican administration to talk about the FCC monitoring content on television in this way.
Do you see any sort of political fallout with Republican constituents also being outraged by this, sort of in the same way we saw with the Epstein files? Do you see this traversing along that line?
I mean, quite possibly. I'm not seeing it yet. We're seeing some voices that are saying, again, what had been traditional Republican orthodoxy. We're seeing some voices that are not saying that, or we're seeing people who are very upset about content moderation on social media now pointing to factors. Maybe it was Jimmy Kimmel's ratings that really led ABC to suspend his show, whether it's a cancellation, we'll see. But none of the reporting that anyone's produced so far has said anything about rating factor in this. So again, there seems to be a split right now. It doesn't feel like Epstein. I'm not saying that won't happen. This story really got the public's attention in a way that the previous lawsuits against media hadn't. So this really is a big breakthrough moment. It remains to be seen where it's going to go.
Fair. Now, at the White House yesterday, Trump once again lashed out at the press and critical media coverage of him. Take a listen.
I just want to settle this free speech question, because you've said that you restored free speech in America.
Yeah.
Is that free speech including for people who are harshly critical of you, for your political opponents, for people who say things you don't like?
I've become immune to
treat
it.
you unfairly?
I've become immune to it. There's never been a person that's had more unfair publicity than me, and that's why your network paid me $15 million, or $16 million, I believe, to be exact, George Slopadopoulos. And that's why CBS paid me a lot of money, too.
Now, those comments came on the same day a federal judge rejected Trump's $15 billion defamation lawsuit against your employer, the New York Times. That's just one of several lawsuits the president has filed or threatened to file against media companies. What do you see as the big picture impact of these lawsuits and threats when it comes to free speech, or perhaps a chilling effect that could occur as well?
Well, first of all, in terms of those lawsuits, of course, neither CBS or ABC said in settling them, yes, we were overly negative toward the president. I didn't see anything in any documentation that said that. So just to sort of address what he said. But of course, there could be a chilling effect. I mean, the fact is that when ABC and CBS did settle those suits that had to varying degrees been given long odds in court by legal experts, it did not appease President Trump. It's clearly, as he's saying outright, emboldened him to see what more he to rein in media that he doesn't like. The question that we all have, I think, right now at institutions like mine that thankfully are economically secure and can fight a suit is what's happening at smaller news organizations that are more economically vulnerable. What stories aren't they covering? We'll perhaps never know.
Jim Rutenberg, thank you.